Welcome back to One More K podcast. We are on episode number 57. Good morning, Ned.
And actually, Marcus, just before the show, you said you'd been for a run. I had just come back from a run as well. So we are doing what we said we would do, Marcus. Keep it running.
Yes, I'm still in my running gear. Actually, I haven't changed yet. So luckily, you're not in person. So that's good. We have Facebook, and we have Alex Ang on the show. Good morning and welcome, Alex, to One More K.
Morning. Thanks for having me, gents. This is great. This is the first time I'm on this podcast, and yeah, it was a great invitation. And I think today we're talking about what do you want to talk about? The world champs?
Well. So to give, Alex will be too humble to give all of his intro. To say Alex has been running some of the great races is an understatement. Alex, who's based in Singapore, has run some of the great races, many of them across the European mountains. And you've been, I'm going to say, you're one of the OGs of Singapore ultra running, Alex. I think that's fair to say. But you know what struck me? Well, I'd love to talk about, you took the flattest country in the world and you took them to the smallest, possibly flattest, least mountainous country in the world, and you made a team to go to the world champs. Like what?
Yeah.
When did it start? When did that journey of building a team start?
Well, it's 2 years in the making, to be honest with you. The hurdles, the obstacles that we overcame along the way was tremendous. It all started when I watched the World Champs in Innsbruck 2 years ago, and I realized that hey, our neighboring countries are all there. Hong Kong, we have Malaysia, even Cambodia was there, I believe. But Singapore wasn't there. There's no Singapore flag. There's no representation. So I made a dream, a vision, to have Singapore up there for the next World Champs, which is 2 years. So exactly 2 years to make it happen. The journey was long. I started by putting myself out there to be the ITRA national rep. So yeah, I went against, I think, some people, my friends voted for me, and I got it.
Just to ask, so did you have to get voted in to be the ITRA?
No, I do not. But I think that it is an important step to represent the country first in the International Trail Running Association, right? Because I saw the vision of not just bringing to the World Champs, but also promoting trail running in Singapore. What we have various groups of people. You know that some of the greatest trail runners out there are in the backyard, and these guys are, I would say, scattered everywhere. There's no belonging. There's no overseeing governance. I would say governance, but a body that helps everybody come together and present them to the world stage. I think that's important. Building an enclave of people to bring new blood into the sport. To have the old guards sharing their initiatives, their experiences, like you, for the newbies, right? I think that's important. And bringing together the race organizers, the corporate sponsors, everybody else, gels, the nutrition, the poles, the vests, the clothing. I think it's important to have that, and that's what we try and do. Yeah, so it started with ITRA, and then started SURAF shortly after, which is Singapore Ultra Runners Association. Because I realized that we need association to bring athletes to be represented on the world stage, not just world stage, right? But and to get there, we have to build a whole series of credentials for Singapore Athletics Association, right? There's the governing body for Singapore. So world champs, they have to submit the names. Yeah, we do all the work, no problem, but they have to submit the names. So we have to build, a series of professionalism and get their support.
Just to ask,
Yeah.
Okay, Alex. So look, I love Singapore. I've been here a long time. I do follow So Rui Yong, the
Yes.
guy, and he certainly has his battles with Singapore athletics. I didn't realize you had to go through that journey of. So they have to submit the names.
Yes, they have to submit the names for world champs. So I have to get them. I explained to them what is trail running, how he has grown as a sport, how we should be represented at the world champ. Yeah, I had to pitch it. I had to sell it. It's a lot.
I thought, oh my God, like I have so many questions because I suppose in
Yeah.
my mind, Alex, I thought, because let's be honest, like 10 years ago, there wasn't really trail running booming in Singapore. It's been, you've
Yes,
been
it's not.
trail running for a long time and Jerry and the OGs.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, running's boomed in Singapore. I mean, we have the marathon this weekend and there's 60,000 people.
Mhm.
And trail running doesn't have as much, it's grown. But I suppose, Alex, I just thought, oh, Alex put together a team and got them, got a few sponsors and went off. You've really professional. I mean, is professionalized not from a money point of view, but you had to
Mm.
put the structure in place, right?
Yes. It's 2 years in the making. Like I said, I have to build it up. We started when we have smaller groups. So being ITRA national rep helps me to bring up the team without Singapore Athletics first in the Southeast Asia Trail Running Championships. Right, we did that in 2024. A small group. Then we did the Asia Pacific Trail Running Championships in Busan, Korea. That was a grand affair. Singapore was represented out there. We took the flag. It was massive. For those, I'm able to call the shot because I'm the national rep and it's organized by ITRA. So that makes sense. I use that as building blocks to the world champs. So I think the fourth and the last pitch I had with Singapore Athletics SA was look guys, this is what we can do, what is trail running, how we can bring the sport together, how we can elevate the sport, bring Singapore to the world champs. I have to pitch that and I have to show them that what we have done for the past few outings, how we perform and everything else. Build a resume. And that take 2 years, right? To get everything going and getting
And
out there.
Wow.
so, Marcus, why don't you go? I've got too many questions.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get the whole puzzle of all the
Yeah.
different like acronyms. We have ITRA, we have
Yes.
Singapore Athletics, we have the Singapore Ultra Association. We have many other outfits we know who claim to run world championships. I'm naming UTMB as one of them. So how does it all fit together? So you need to work with Singapore Athletics to get support for the athletes to travel or to be at least calling themselves representing Singapore. This is my first question
Yes.
because I don't. Other countries I
Yeah.
know, like Vietnam or Philippines, I believe, don't have that.
It's
For
a
example, they
Oh,
can
they
just
do. They
do
do.
it. They do as
No,
well.
no,
Okay,
they
all right.
do.
Everyone
They do
does.
as
Okay,
well.
I see.
Every
Okay.
country, because the world champs is governed by IAU, right? It's not by ITRA.
I see.
It's by So all the sporting association of the country will have to submit the names. So like
Okay.
Hong Kong will be Hong Kong Sports Association, not the Trail Running Association, which is why we saw underrepresentation in Hong Kong athletes this year because the Trail Running and Sports Association don't see eye to eye. So they did not feel the strongest, and we all know who are the strongest in Hong Kong, right?
We do.
And we do, right? I raise that so often. I know exactly who they are. We only saw maybe a handful of them being out there. Yeah,
Which is
because
such pity, Alex, because what we know, Hong Kong has such amazing. I mean, as a trail running city,
yes,
probably one of the greatest in the world
correct.
because the hills come out of the city. I mean, it
Yes.
really and the athletes there, and from the North Face Adventure team that comes out of there, and all of
Yes.
the runners there. Oh wow! So basic bureaucracy stopped the best runners going, or
Yes, bureaucracy. Yes. So I didn't want that to happen. So I
Sure.
started building it, and SA was an important bit of the puzzle. Because if they don't submit the names, we're not going to the world champs. Yes.
Wow!
It is what it is. Yeah.
Wow.
And
So you've been dealing with Lien from Singapore Athletics. You know Lien Chung Luen.
Yes, I know, but not yet. We dealt with some of the we as a GM and some of the groups. So we created a group there. And
nice.
But along the way, Singapore is also part of the Southeast Asia Confederation for trail running. And we are trying to promote this by adding trail running to the SEA Games and trying to get this to the Olympics in 2032 in Brisbane.
so
It's a long drawn plan. Now you're getting excited.
You're taking okay, Alex. By the way, at the end of the show today, I'm going to pitch you that if you want trail ultra running in the Olympics, it's backyard. But we'll leave that to the side. So, when you sold trail running to the Singapore Athletic Association, did they immediately? I mean, I understand they get it; they know what trail running is. But what questions did they have, or were they immediately, yeah, sure, this makes sense?
No, there were a lot of questions. They don't even know if this works, right? Trail running as compared to track running or marathon, it is a very low known sport. It it is harder in Singapore because we don't have hills to train. We don't even have I would say natural trails for us to train on. And we can't even hold events in Singapore for markers because national parks that governs the trails and most of the parks and nature reserves in Singapore doesn't allow events to be held. So for example, Nat in Bukit Timah, we are not allowed to hold events there, period. Yeah, so, and that is our only natural hill to train on. So 99% of the trail runners are there every weekend going up and down. Oh, by the way, it is 163 meters tall, that small hill. And yeah, we train on hours on that small little hill, every single one of us, to be able to be out there for, let alone the world champs, any trail race in the world, we have to train on that. Yeah. So and the athletes does it there too. That's the only hill we have. Yeah. So it's
Wow.
challenging. Yeah.
And then how did you guys do at the World Championships then? I mean, if you only train at Bukit Timah, which I trained on also multiple years, how did it go? Like, did it affect? Did the humidity levels help then? Was it an advantage to train in Singapore and race in less humid,
Right.
less wet countries?
Yeah. So I think that's a very, very good question. I have trained on Bukit Timah for a decade, right? More than a decade. And I've done some biggest races out there. I've ran the Alps. I've done Tour de Gens. I've done UTMB several times. Mount Fuji, Philippines, and so on and so forth. All these are huge mountains, right? I'll say this, in Bukit Timah, it trains the fortitude. It trains the mental toughness because, we have to go up and down minimum of 8 times or 9 times to get 1K, which is a small hill in Europe or anywhere else in the world. So it builds that mental fortitude. But what it doesn't prepare us for is the technical terrain, which we have to experience it while we're out there. And I would say the perpetual climbs that we embark upon, like the 2,000 meters, 3,000 meters hill, straight up 2,000. We don't get that anywhere near in Singapore. So that's the tough thing. But I think we can train for that, but it's the technicality of the trails that we is tough.
A long shot here now, but knowing Singapore again, I lived there for 6 years, and if they realize there's some potential in something, they will invest in it. Could you imagine like an indoor trail running gym hub that would prepare the Singapore runners for alpine terrain?
I think there is a possibility. Definitely, we used to have an altitude gym near Bukit Timah, if you remember. I think that helps. An altitude gym, so they enclose the entire room with treadmills and everything else, and they have they control the altitude, so you can be running at 3,000 meters with an incline and stuff. That helps.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Wow.
And
Nice.
so Marcus asked about how you did or how it went in the championship. But before that, if I can ask, I saw on Insta and Facebook how you revealed the team. Like,
Yes.
I think you did a really good job with kind of building the hype, talking about it. First of all, how did you select? I mean, there's some obvious contenders here in Singapore, but how did you do? Because selection could be a controversial topic.
It is.
How did you
It
do
is.
selection, Alex?
Yeah, and I had to pitch this to the Singapore Athletics as well, right? It has to be clear, transparent, and fair. I did a whole selection documentation for them of whole various ways that we should do it, so that we don't leave any stones unturned. It has to be fair. It doesn't discriminate overseas runners and everybody else. Now, for track, it's easy. Everybody is ranked. Everybody is part of a club. For trail running, it's not, right? I mean, we can have thousands of trail running clubs, but none of them are going to track any runners, and their criteria is different, right? I mean, you can run Bukit Timah, you can run Dairy Farm, but it doesn't mean that you're able to handle the Pyrenees and stuff like that. So I came up with a whole whole series of selection criteria, but then we decided on one, which is I think the fairest. We took the top 3 or 4, but we rolled down because some of them are not Singaporean. So to be represented in the World Champs, you need to hold a Singapore passport, just like for every country. And then we took the if I'm not mistaken, I took the ITRA 50K top 3 highly ranked, highest rank in Singapore. So I can filter them by Singapore. ITRA 50, these are the top contenders. For the 100K, who are the top male and female, and then half marathon for the classics. And VK is simple, right? VK is just 10K. So we do the top 10K, half marathon, 50K, and 100K. That's how we did it. It's fair, and we wrote it down. Those who cannot make it, so we have to bear in mind that this is in the World Champs is, I would say, something like the Olympics, right? And people who have other sponsored athletes, especially, they have other commitments that they need to do, UTMB, or they have other races that they are committed to. And we can't have people who are racing in September and do another World Champs in September. So that's one of the criteria too, so that they're fresh and we can allow other people who are dedicated to represent the country. So that's one of the criteria as well. No races on the month of on the month of the competition. Yeah.
And so you select a team.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like you got a lot of sponsorship, Alex. There was equipment, there was gear.
Yes.
Like, did you go out and get sponsorship
Yes.
as well?
Yeah. So other than selection of the athletes, I have to work on selection and work with SA. I started pitching 1 year prior to various corporate sponsors. I had quite a few, like you mentioned. Natao sponsored our racing kit, top, bottom, rain jacket, gloves, and everything else. I went out there with, I pitched it to Rap, the mountain people. They sponsored us for the opening and closing ceremony with the thermal, with the rain jackets, with the hiking pants and everything else. It was awesome. Yeah, but I had to pitch it individually to respective corporate sponsors to get them aboard for the World Champs. And while at it, and you mentioned in SOCMAC, develop an entire plan of social media for the sponsors as well, for the athletes, that builds up from January all the way to the day of the competition. So we had teams, like introduction of the athletes, revealing the team, to training, to we saw it in Straits Times. We got ourselves on the Straits Times as well, and then for the sponsors, and then we also did some collaboration with trail running groups to show, to have these athletes mingle, to show the social community side of things. We also had talks with respective people like Outdoor Fair, to promote the sport, to show what trail running is, and and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it all builds up all the way to September. It's a long drawn plan.
And meanwhile, you still got a full-time job as well, right?
Yes. Yes, I do have a full-time job.
That is. And what was the experience like to take the team for you? Because as you said, Alex, you've raced many of the great races, but you're going in a different capacity this time, right? You've got
Yes.
team responsibility. How was that different feeling for you?
Oh, it is very different. I think, but to be honest, it's a huge sense of achievement to have the team to have the Singapore flag out there on the world stage. This is the first time we ever have a Singapore flag in the trail running stage in the world. I mean, it feels great, especially in the opening ceremony. A bunch of us, with the Singapore flag walking down with every single other country. It was amazing. And the experience there was tremendous. I think, to be honest with you, Ned, I think running is an easier job than crewing. Right, Marcus?
I know. Tell me about it.
Right. So my job is to make sure that athletes are covered, which means everything, right? Logistics, transport arrangement, food, gels, preparation, make sure they have their mandatory gear, transportation. Because where we stay and where the start point is requires a bus ride. And it is with everybody else. We stay in the same hotel as Philippines, the US team, and everybody else. So yeah, we met quite a few people. We met Katie, we met Jim Wormsley, we met, a lot of them is amazing, right? Yeah, it is tough. We are the ones who wake up the earliest, 5 every morning. Make sure that everybody has their breakfast, check gear, logistics, transportation. We crew them as much as we can, all the respective checkpoints. So we split it into two different camps, checkpoint 1, checkpoint 2, so that we don't miss the athletes. We just cannot do that. So 4 of us, 4 officials, 2 of us are each in different checkpoints to make sure that they are catered for. And then we prepare all this the night before, knowing exactly what they need, taking out all their water bottles, their nutrition, their electrolytes, and then we split it up nicely on the table for them when they come in. Yeah. So it does this, and I think we need to send in the names every night as well. Attend all the technical meetings for every single race. So yeah, it is quite a lot of things to do. We're the last to come back to sleep, maybe 11. So we only average a couple of hours sleep every night, and it repeats the next day and the next day and the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. It is. Yeah, it's quite a lot. But we
I'm
did
curious.
great.
I'm
Sorry,
curious
carry on.
about. Sorry, go ahead. You did great. I was about to ask you. What was the performance like?
Yeah, I was coming to that. Yeah, so we did pretty well for our first outing. I would say we are ranked 33 globally, and second in Asia behind Taipei. Taipei is, I think, we ranked 20 something, 27 if I'm not wrong. So we are 33. Philippines 34. I think we did great. Yeah.
Nice. Congratulations.
And
I saw it
it
on
was
Instagram. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah, it was very, very challenging. The course, to be honest, is technical. There was incident of all of them being stung by wasps. There was an incident in the World Champs. Yeah, a lot of runners got that. One of them has allergic reactions and had to pull out. But yeah,
Ouch.
he
Oh, wow.
lost his vision. He couldn't really see. He was stumbling all over. I said, okay, this is not safe. I think you should stop. Right? Yeah.
Well, nature is reality. Yeah. Wow.
It is. Yeah.
I'm curious about, because especially Asians, I feel like finishing UTMB or any other major race, they always hold also their national flag, Singapore flag, Vietnam flag, Philippine flag.
Right.
And then of course there's massive coverage at home. I mean, I know from Vietnam where I lived as well, people are watching the live stream, engaging. In Singapore the same, Philippines the same, Malaysia the same. How are these now world champs comparing as a national hype and vibe to those other major races of like UTMB, for example, and so on, or Tour de Géant? Because there seems to be a complementary, it's competition. I don't know what's the right word here, but I'm also wondering about the perception at home. Like, what did you see happening at home compared to your own experience holding the Singapore flag at UTMB, for example?
Right. I think that's a matter of perception. I think in the world of trail running, many are still I think they're split into different camps, right? UTMB is becoming very much commercialized, to be honest. There's 2 camps of people. Some are all for the running stones. UTMB is a big thing. They do their annual pilgrimage, to Geneva. I've been there a couple of times, and it's amazing. There are some who has teetered off doing, I think, by ITRA, Hong Kong 100. We have Madeira, stuff like that, right? But I think the draw is there for us to be out there in all these major competitions on mountains that we have never seen in Singapore. But I think for Singapore, this is big for us to be the world champ, because this is the first time we are out there. I think people take all these races, ITRA races, UTMB races, as stepping stone. I'm not sure for the rest of the world. I think it works for Singapore because most of us hold a full-time job. None of us are actual pro runners. So we have less commitment on certain races to do every year, number of podiums that we need to hit. Like if you look at it from that angle, I think a lot of the pro runners are not being represented on the world stage, right? I mean, we should have seen Kylian out there for Spain or whatever, right? I mean, it makes sense because he's gonna do very well. But these guys are not there because one, it doesn't appeal. Second, it's largely because of sponsorships and their commitment to the brand.
Alex, it's a real look. This is a question, right? Clearly, it was an amazing World Championships. but the brands, you're right. Like Jim was there,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes.
Katie was there, right? But they're also professionals, and
Yes.
let's face it, UTMB gets more brand coverage
Correct.
than the Mountain Championships. Why is that? Because the World Championships. I mean, what? Because the World Championship should be the biggest thing. What?
Well,
What's the?
I think you can. We all watch football, right? I think you can look at it from this angle, like
Yeah,
the Premier League versus World Cup, that
yeah,
kind of thing, right? Or Olympics, right?
yeah,
Like I think our trail running world champs is like the Olympics. It's like
yeah.
okay, it's good, it's there, but it's not a big thing for the brand, right? But World Cup is bigger, right? Or EPL is bigger. It's that kind of that kind of stuff which we are trying to bring it up. I think slowly we should get there. But then again, we do have to bear in mind that the world champs only happened I think 3 times currently.
Yeah,
This is the
right.
third one. Yeah, so it's still in its infancy stage, right?
Was it?
Yes,
And you were there, and you've been to UTMB. Was the
I have.
organization for the world was the organization for the World Championships what you expected, up to par with the big events? So it has the credentials to really grow.
It does, and I think world champs is harder because world champs they have to take into consideration the logistics, the meals, and the hotel, the accommodation for all the athletes. So for 4 nights, accommodation and full board for all athletes attending the event.
So
Yes,
they
it's
pay.
massive. They pay for 4 nights. Yes,
Wow. Where do
we
they get
we,
Wow.
we
where do they get the money from? Where do they get the
yeah.
money from?
So to do that, they have to pay to host. It has to come from funding with the government and tourism, for sure. So like in Asia Pacific Trail Championship, it's the same thing. They pay ITRA hosting fee, and they got together with the tourism board to host the entire event. Yeah. So
Wow.
likewise for
Wow.
Camp Frank, they have the entire city right there behind them. It's a big thing. Yes. And 2 years later, we are going to South Africa. The World
To
Champs is going to be held in South Africa.
in Cape Town, I imagine.
Yeah. Yes, in Cape Town.
Wow.
Interesting.
2027. Yeah.
And so
Interesting.
that me and Marcus, maybe I'll let Marcus after this question. We've Marcus is more of a finance data guy. He's looked at the stock and the IP and Strava and
Yeah.
on and all of that. But it's interesting to think that there's enough money that people would pay to host. I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of surprising.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, but it is such. The Southeast Asia is free. I know for a fact. We are doing it in Jakarta next year. I think that's free. But World Champs, yes, they have to pay to host. They have to pay for the accommodation and food. But it's only for 4 nights. And we pay for the rest. That's fine.
Mm.
And the athletes are self-funded, other than the gear sponsorship that I got for them. Yeah.
Nice. I mean, Ned mentioned finance, so let's kind of pick up that buzzword. I also believe you work in finance too, right?
Yes, I do.
So we don't have to go into that world of funds and hedge funds and whatnot. I think that's for another conversation. But Warren Buffett says, follow the money. So let's talk about where's the money coming from? Where's the money going from your perspective? I mean, seems to be really coming money into this. And what do you see from fundraising, from corporates? What do they say? What do you think about the sponsorship, the prize money? We have a lot of conversations here on the pod with Ned about prize money. We just had, I think, Broken Arrow race here in US announced a massive sponsorship for and launching $130,000 in prize money, the largest ever of any event. So maybe give us your perspective on the money part on in this industry.
Well, I think the money is definitely there. Largely for all these world championships, predominantly tourism money. They do have brands coming in. So this world championship is largely sponsored also by Adidas. So they have their own booth and everything else. But I think interesting that you talk about money. Being a finance guy, I thought more could be done in terms of selling merchandise, some expo, bringing bigger brands or local brands in there. I think that'll be great because I think World Champs they only have Adidas booth, and that's about it. And we go to UTMB, we see a whole entire race village. I recently been to Chaiku, a China race, and it's amazing. I tell you, the expo is an entire street and more. It's crazy. It's a rock
Alex,
star. Yeah.
Alex, I read your Facebook post. Seriously, man,
Yeah.
I read your post, and again, knowing you've been to the great races, I mean, I know you basically wrote that this was on par, better. I mean, is China like the sleeping giant of trail running?
It is. I think it is. And I think, to be honest, there's so much to offer, and they're so hospitable. That so much pride goes into how they host their events. The event I went is just a small mountain out there, about 2,000 plus, but uh, I had lunch with the governor and the race director. So we are building this sports and culture relationship between Singapore and China. Um, and we had lunch and we talked about a lot of such stuff. And I realized that they have 9,000 volunteers up in the mountains for that few days, all
What?
doing it for free. 9,000 villagers, local policemen, firemen, trail runners, they are all out there supporting the entire event. It's amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
And,
I know,
and,
right? Yeah.
and is it? This is maybe a philosophical question. People can only trail run when they're relatively comfortable in their lives, right? You've got to have good basics, money, good basics coming in. Is it that, China, over the last decades has now come to be, an economic powerhouse? And now, is it that enough of the population in China is seeking, relaxation, health? Yeah. What's driving this trail running boom in China?
Ned, very good question. But I'll stop you there to say that, I think in our time, most trail runners are probably working adults, way past our prime. Okay, maybe we are moving the goalpost of prime. Okay, to be fair, but I'm seeing a lot of interest. Have you seen the young trail runners now? They're all in the 20s. Look at
Yeah.
UTMB. They're all
Yeah.
in the 20s. It's up and coming. It is great, and that's showing how trail running is evolving on the world stage. Right, we are attracting all these young people. To be honest, I've seen even in Singapore, a lot of the younger ones are coming on, 20 plus, 30, and way below the median age that we're used to.
Mm.
Yeah, I
I
do
mean,
see that.
it's.
Yeah,
I see from the Leca point of view. I've been just. I didn't actually say this to you, Ned. I get so many people reaching out to me. They're 18, 19.
yeah.
Just they tell me, we just finished high school. We don't go to uni. We're taking one gap year just to try to become a trail running pro, quote
Wow.
unquote, right? They're going to travel the world. They're going to
Yes.
join some races. Taking a gap year. It's a trail running gap year, basically. I mean, I went to Africa back in the days and did my volunteering year working with HIV people, which was my gap year. Now it's a gap year is doing your trail running year,
Right.
right? And that's what they do. 18, 19 years old. Don't skip uni for now and say, I'm going to do this. We've
So,
actually had this one person on the show very soon coming to
Oh,
one more case.
nice.
But yeah.
hey, hey, look, Hans Troyer is leading the way. I mean, look what Hans just did at
Yes.
JFK. And the capability of social media. But so maybe to combine these two, Alex, you were in China. Is there a path? So, Marcus knows 18, 19-year-olds who want to be trail running pro. Would you tell them, go to China? Is there money there? Is there a pathway? Could, globe trotting, trail running,
I,
ambitious
you know,
people, is there a path in China for that?
I think definitely, but Chinese predominantly everything is in Chinese, so it's easier to arrange the logistics. So what I did there was I did the arrangement of everything for my entire group of Singaporeans. So that helps, right? They're all settled. They know exactly what needs to be done and stuff. But that's interesting on how they take time off um to become a trail running pro. I think it's not just the lure of the trails and the mountains, but also a means to see the world. I see it as how previously people like to be stewardess and stewards, right? And now, it's the kind of thing. I can see the world while being paid as a pro. Wow, this is great, right? I mean, I can go to Geneva, I can go to, anywhere else, China or Africa. I think it's great for them to do so. And well, I think it's a little bit of that, not just 100% trail running.
That's true. And I think also what we
Yeah.
talked about last time, Ned, on the show was that you don't have to be number one or number two, number three.
Yeah.
You just have to be good with your phone, filming your journey, and then a hawker or something might sponsor you. It doesn't matter if you are number two or number three, right? So
Yeah.
I think also it's a part of the digital creator economy where we're going direction of we don't want a full-time job. We don't need to work for consultancy or big bank,
Exactly.
whatnot, right? We
Yeah.
can just finance our life by doing what we want and having a phone in our hand and kind of making income that way.
It was on the Single Track podcast. I think Alicia Clark, who Marcus knows, a phrase she read or heard is that athletes are influencers, but influencers can be athletic. You don't have to win exactly like this
Yes.
ability to you've got to show your story. It's okay. We're jumping around here, Alex. I'm going to ask you a question that just came to my mind. Are we ever going to have a Singaporean pro trail runner?
I think that's, in my personal opinion, I think it's hard. Culture, mindset, plus training ground. It doesn't point towards that direction, to be honest. I mean, let's take a step back, look at our track stars, right? Track or marathon. None of them are pro. Are they? No, none of them are pro. They all have a full-time job. Yeah. And trail running doesn't pay as much, to be honest. Okay, let's talk about revenue per kilometer or revenue per kilometer train. Okay, trail running is not a good ROI, to be honest, guys. Come on, right? You make more winning a marathon than winning a 100K. I don't think it's lucrative.
For sure. Okay, but then okay, so and I agree. Like, it's not that Singapore doesn't love trail running, of course, but just cultural, the terrain, etc. But maybe to look at slightly different question. You get a sense of the Singapore trail running momentum. Is it still growing here? Marcus, on a previous show, I think Marcus, didn't we talk some races claimed in America that there were less, the entry levels hadn't quite got back to pre-COVID levels, which I find strange. I know you gave me the numbers. It seems weird when you look online, there's lots of races. Alex, what do you see in Singapore over the last, you've been at this a long time. Is the momentum growing in Singapore trail running? Do you see more people coming into it? What do you think the future for Singapore trail running is?
I think we do. If you have seen, we have good young trail runners now, and they are appearing in various races, and and surprisingly, setting the course record. Have you seen? We hold the course record for Rinjani race, the 33K for the both men and women.
Wow,
Yeah.
I did not know.
Yes, it is. It's interesting, right? Yeah. And the guy who won it, Singaporean, I think it's his first trail race, first overseas trail race. And Rinjani is like 3,007 meters. And we have 163 in Bukit Timah. I think that's crazy amazing. It's a great story. Yeah. And I think he's wrapping up. He will be representing Singapore in the coming years.
But so it's good to see
Yeah.
we're getting some winners. But in general, not just from a results point of view, like the number of people, Alex, like how do you get a sense of how many people are trail running in Singapore? And is that number growing?
It is growing. So we do track people in various races. Just for kicks, right? We just want to understand the momentum and who is who. And to watch out for stars and up and coming good runners. For the country. And we do see that there are a very, very strong interest and involvement in a lot of the UTMA races, a lot of neighboring country races like Malaysia, Thailand, and I think even in the Philippines. Yeah, it's definitely growing. With the world champs, with all this publicity, more and more people are understanding that, look, trail running is a thing now. Singapore is being represented on world stage. They get interested. And I think that's only going to set our bar higher and elevate the entire sport for the country.
And you said at the beginning of the show that did you say like trail running in the Olympics in
Yes.
is it 2032? 2032. Is that right?
2032. We are trying.
Tell me, how does it work? How do you get a sport to the Olympics? When you're saying you're trying, what does that mean?
So, it's a global effort. We spoke to Brisbane. We have we have to write a letter out to the Olympics committee to have a test sport. So every year they have a test sport, right? They introduce a new sport to the Olympics, and we are trying to have trail running as part of it. The Trail Running Association in Australia is fully supportive of this. So we had a petition, a letter that we wrote out to the Olympics committee that's signed by most trail running association around the world. Yeah.
Wow.
So nothing is
Isn't
confirmed, but
also
yeah.
Salomon? I think Salomon also is trying to push that agenda. I saw on some kind of Salomon races that they are claiming to push that, right? Or brands,
Yeah.
I'm sure in general.
Yeah, I think that's the next thing, right? We should have the brands behind.
Mm.
It makes more. You talk about commercials. It makes sense if we have the major brands behind all these initiatives, and not just talking about track, right? You talk about trail running, and I mean to come back to your question earlier on how we see things evolving in trail running. Let's look at the equipment, the shoes that all these major brands are doing. Look at Nike, right? A lot of trail running shoes are coming out. Likewise for Adidas, for every single brand out there, even Brooks, right? So we know that they have taken notice that this is a growing trend.
100. Marcus, I mean, just looking at some of the shoe brands, how they're
Yes.
doing, story of Hoka on all of these guys. I mean, look, you trail running. I was watching like some show the other day, and there was an advert for a Ford car, and it had a trail runner on it. Like trail running is like it's in like mainstream, which I think is important. But question on the Olympics, right? So the Olympics, obviously, the idea is faster, stronger, higher, back from Greek days, right? But let's face it, it's a media event as well today, right?
Yes.
How does trail running fit into that? Because triathlon had to kind of retrofit itself to get into the Olympics, right? Because triathlon was like non-draft. Olympic triathlon became draft legal because what happened was the Olympics said normal humans can't understand, non-drafting. We have to make this fit for TV, has to be no more than a couple of hours, it has to fit into the program. And that was, triathlon got to the Olympics in Sydney in 2020, 2000. Today, fitting into media, social media, YouTube packaging. So how do you guys think about fitting trail running into, let's face it, the media spectacle that the Olympics is?
Oh, that's a good question. So it all starts with all the world champs, right? In world champs, there's a dedicated media on it, and they're doing a great job. If you look at the live stream and everything else, it's a big thing. I was in Busan for Asia Pacific. Likewise, they have a whole media team, and I think some of them. I think Steve was there handling it. Steve from Hong Kong. He's a Nine Dragons race director. Yeah. I think it's a big thing, and trying to make trail running look sexy. That's the role of the media, right? And we are seeing a lot of more footage, a lot more coverage out there to get it done. And I think, and not just the runners, but the scenery, the technicality, all these appeals to people. Not just runners, but also hikers. In time to come, they'll enjoy this and say, "Hey, look, I've never been there before. This is a great way to spend my days. Being out there in the mountains and stuff like that. I may not be a trail runner, but I can definitely hike all these trails." Yeah.
That makes sense. So I have mentioned this on the show before, and I don't know if I told you, Marcus, but Finn Melanson is behind it as well. The idea that, trail running at the Olympics, you have short course, long course, VK, whatever, but you have backyard that has a loop around the stadium and for the whole week, right? And the idea is, while the track race and everything going on in the stadium, we make a 6.7K loop, and it's just keeps coming back to, oh my God, backyard's still going on. I don't think because there was over 1 million viewers on Backyard, and the reality is that it's accessible, right? People can kind of weirdly see it. Look, the reality is, do I think Laz wants a Backyard in the Olympics? I don't. right? I don't think backyard's like made for Olympics from a soul point of view. But just a question: what type of races, Alex, would there be? Like VK, 30K,
Yeah.
long
So
course, all of it?
So the idea of having it in the Olympics is not just we have to be careful there. We don't want to introduce I would say cross country running. We have that in Singapore, I believe, right? Let's not do cross country. Yes, be specific and be tailored for the masses. And yes, it's exactly should adopt the format that we have in World Champs. The VK, the short trail, the long trail, and the classics. The classic is something that is somewhat like a cross country, not so high, very runnable, very very fast course. That people get excited watching, and and of course the under 23s or under 20s to bring the new blood on. Yes, I think that'll be great.
Nice. Wow. Exciting. Last question from my side. On your Instagram, it says you're a full-time collector of life moments.
Yes.
I love this statement. I'm sure there are so many life moments, but how do you define life moment? Like, because every moment is a life moment. Any second right now is a life moment. So what is a life moment for you? And do you want to share maybe one special one?
Yeah. I think life moment is very special for every single person. It's different, right? And we are all runners. I think collector of life moments also include celebrating life and the ability to do what we do out there, experiencing a new place with families or friends, stuff like that. I think it is important. Now, trail running has brought me to places that I otherwise would have never been. Like I didn't know there was Alps in Busan, in Korea. I've never been to so many places that, it is amazing to travel out there like 5 hours from the airport just to get to a little mountain, right? It is enduring. So life moment, I think one of the greatest one that I truly enjoyed was spending one whole week out there in the mountains, in Paul where I traversed the entire, the Alps surrounding 3 countries, right? It was amazing. Waking up in the mountains every day, every night, repeating it for the entire week. It was something that I did in 2018. It's been almost 7 years ago, but it still hold dear to me because I can still vividly remember the loss I felt when I finished it. It's like it's done. What there's the emptiness that came upon me. What am I supposed to do now? you know, after spending a week in the mountains is surreal, and I just now, to be honest with you, I appreciate every moment that I'm able to still do this. To be able to just be in the mountains to run, and I think all these holds dear. We all be injured at some point. We all know the feeling of not being able to run. That sucks, right?
Yeah. But I think it's amazing that you channel all your experience and energy now into building up the Singapore ecosystem and giving back in the sense into governance, into the new generation. I think that's very, very, very good of you. So thank you so much for doing that.
And just to say, Alex, you should read. So honestly, Alex, I love your point that you made. Like it's hard to come back to reality after being in the mountains for a week.
You should know that.
But you should read. Tara Dower, obviously, who set the FKT on the Appalachian Trail.
Yes.
She wrote a really powerful piece, Alex. She put it on, after she broke it. People said, how hard was it being on the AT? She said, no, that wasn't hard. It was the weeks and months afterwards dealing with reality.
Yes.
After being out there for 50. It was a super powerful piece. Like she poured her heart out. She was in a pretty dark place. She basically said, reality's just bland after this. Like, because she was on the AT for a lot. It was a beautiful post. And kind of when you said that, Alex, it reminded me of like, how did you deal with not being out there anymore, right?
It is hard. It is hard. And then COVID struck, and it was a dark place, yes. Yeah. So like you said, I have to channel my energy somewhere. I have tons of it. So yeah, we're doing this. And is coming, and watch our space. 2026, we have 2 championships races. In July, we have it in Southeast Asia, which is in Jakarta. In November, we're going to have the Asia Pacific Trail Championships. That will be in China.
Nice. Wow. Well, I can't wait. I mean, that's very good to know as a businessman myself for Leca, for me, I can see the peak. We talk about the peak and the hype, and actually probably maybe it will be a peak in Brisbane in 2032. So I've got 6 more years to go, which is good. I've got plenty of time to build Leca. No rush.
Yeah. Build your empire.
That's nice.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a good community. Awesome.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, Alex, we actually didn't tell you before, but Ned is our 1more K in-house poet. He always prepares a little poem, a drop, we call it, at the end of each podcast. So please bear with us while Ned will share this, Ned, and then we wrap up this episode. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, also, Alex, thank you, man. Honestly, like I don't know if you remember, we last saw each other, Alex, in Badok at the round Badok race. We saw you about. So it's always nice seeing you out there. It's great to and honestly, just to say, Alex, like I knew you put effort into creating that team. I assumed it was effort, but understanding how much you've put into it, super cool, man. Like I love Singapore and the fact you've put the effort in. So just to say thank you, man, for putting that effort out there, because it's. I'm not going to say it's a thankless task. I'm glad you really enjoyed it and felt good being out there. But, just listening to you put a lot into it. So good on you, man. It's cool. All right. Here's just a little poem that I wrote. I actually ran this morning, and I wrote that after running this morning. All righty. This one's called How Many? How many? It seems crazy. We used to call it jogging. How long ago was that? Before running became cool. Now it seems like everybody does it, which is a good thing, right? It must be, because technically, as humans, we're all runners. But somehow now it feels different. I ran this morning before the sun came up, and there were people. I was still running when the sun came up. There were still people running. Everywhere I looked, there were people running. I wondered, does anybody jog anymore? Do you remember that word? No one says it now. We've all graduated to being runners, which is amazing. But I do wonder, how long are we runners going to be cool? Because in the 80s, there was a running boom. Everybody ran, or so it seemed. I was maybe too young to notice. But then it stopped. For some weird reason, no one ran. And then we ate crap. And 30 years later, we were all a little bigger. So we decided to run again. So I wonder, what will stop us this time? Will anything stop us? Hopefully, nothing. Because one morning, I will wake up, and it won't just be a lot of people running, it will be everyone. Get out there. Ned.
Thanks, Ned. It's actually such a good point, Ned, and I might have an answer to your question, which is maybe for another episode, of course, but I think it's nature. Sad news from Vietnam is that many races have been cancelled or postponed due to storms and weather and landslides. As trail running is more and more out and about, which is great for nature, but nature is also giving us boundaries. And so I think that's one answer maybe to your question. Sorry, it's a real answer to your poem, wonderful poem, but I think there's our limitations out there what nature allows us to do.
But it's great. No, seriously, like, Alex,
Yeah.
I was just running down by Marina Bay, and everyone was out running, and those people everywhere, and the stuff happening, and it's great. But seriously, in the 80s and 90s, there was a running boom in America. Everybody ran, and seriously, for 20, 30 years, it just stopped. Like, it just stopped. And I don't know why. Like, I pretended it was because we ate crap. I don't know. But it feels like now we're all going to keep running. Some of us, like us three guys, are going to run forever. There's hardcore runners, but it feels like now it's not just hardcore runners. Like, it feels like public is out there. Like, people. I was in Central Park before I did backyard. Dude, Central Park in the morning feels, in New York, it feels like there's a race going on. There's like it's packed, which is beautiful. It's wonderful. It's amazing. And I hope it never stops, but we'll see. Anyway.
Yeah.
Alex, thank you. Have you stopped recording, Marcus? Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you so much, Alex. Thank you so much for
All right,
listening.
thanks, guys.
Appreciate it so
Thank-
much. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Don't hang up yet, Alex. Stay on.
Okay.
Don't